All right, let's talk about Michael Penix Jr., who, listen, this was a rough day for the Atlanta Falcons. It was not all on Penix. We'll talk about the disaster. This is a team that they were going up against a team many thought was the worst team in football, and they lose 30-0. A couple missed field goals in there, but still, how does this happen? Well, let's get into it. First, let's start off with this play. So it's going to be a zone coverage concept that the Carolina Panthers are in. Michael Penix Jr., going to fake a handoff and then roll out towards the top of the screen. He's going to take the snap right here. So far, his part of the operation works. I will say, give credit to Carolina. They covered better in this game than you would typically expect from them. Part of this is the NFL is week to week and players get better or players have good weeks and bad weeks. So, things aren't entirely like how you might think of, if it's not like one team's like a 78 overall and the other team's an 83 overall, and the 83 overall is always going to beat the 78 overall, right? Things get tricky there, but still, Carolina covering well. Hey, you can hit Kyle Pitts, gain some yards. This is not an easy throw from Penix. He's going to have to throw a bit off balance. There is some pressure. And the throw isn't even horrible, but it is a bit off, and because of that, they can't connect. Again, one play, at this point in the game, you're like, well, whatever, can't hit on all of them. But from the word go, essentially, these were the issues. And this is, the first play of the game for the Falcons, and it would not be the last time they had mistakes like this. You had this one where Penix is going to try and hit Darnell Mooney. Mooney, honestly, a pretty good throw. Mooney just can't quite make the grab right there. This one on a 2nd and 7. That ended up being incomplete. You see this angle shows that the ball did ultimately hit the ground. Then going over here, we had on a 1st and 10. Penix is going to throw this one, and it's juggled by Mooney once again. Had an opportunity. And this is the 4th down and 4, and it's just a bit of a low throw, and Ray McLeod can't keep it off the turf. That was, that would have been a 1st down on a 4th down and 4. So, again, these opportunities, and, also should mention, would have been a 1st down in a 17-0 game early in the 3rd quarter. That was an opportunity that they were not able to capitalize on. So, some slight misses hurting them, and also receivers got to make these catches as well. When you add those two things on, I don't care who you're playing, it's going to be hard to have success when you're missing these opportunities. Some of these plays are open, and they're just not hitting them. Let's head over here now. So this is going to be a cover 2 zone that the Carolina Panthers are going to be in. And you have Drake London's route. And to be honest, I don't love how London runs this route. So it's, 2nd and 7. They want to get the 1st down. However, you see when Penix takes this snap, it looks like London really just kind of stops right behind the Carolina Panthers defender. There still is an opportunity to throw it over the defender, but if he takes a couple steps back, he's wide open right here, right? Penix sees London, and I think he's just gonna look. I think this might have just been a throwaway, but there was a bit of a window too. I don't love if that was a throwaway. I don't love how high up that was, and it couldn't have been a miscommunication because Penix was looking at London and saw London stop. So I don't know exactly what happened there, and there were a few plays where I'm like, wait, what happened there? I wish I was in the huddle or listening. I had a fly on the wall. Wondered going over film the next day because I don't fully get what's going on. This one was another one where it's a zone coverage concept. You have a receiver who's going to be cutting more over the middle. This is once again Darnell Mooney, who I've been picking on a bit, but listen, it was not just his fault in this game. A lot of people having issues, but anyway, cutting over the middle, trying to get open against the gap in coverage. You're going to see that Michael Penix takes the snap. Look, he throws over here, and, there is a window, right? If you can time this effectively, this has an opportunity, and I think maybe Mooney felt as though he had been interfered with, but ultimately, you're looking at the ball. You can try and make the play. Watch him, he kind of gives up on the play, and the defensive back nearly had a catch. Again, Mooney starts to complain to the refs for saying he wanted a flag, but, still compete for the ball, right? Again, one play, maybe when the camera wasn't showing what happened, it was much more understandable, but there were just too many of those, what happened here? I'll watch the all 22 later this week and figure out exactly for this one, but there were other ones where you can tell kind of what happened. It just I'm not sure exactly what happened, if that makes sense. Like this one, 3rd down and 5, Panthers drop back into zone. Penix has a window, but doesn't have a receiver in that window. So again, expecting a receiver to run one route, and there should have been a receiver in that route. I don't know who ran the wrong route, but someone should have been there because that had an opportunity to, be a 1st down. So again, in a 10-0 game at the end of the half, instead of being able to get, on into enemy territory, they have to give the ball away. This play, 1st and 10, they're nearly at the 30-yard line. You see that Penix makes this throw, and again, looks like the receiver lays off at the end there. The ball isn't close. Did the ball just get away from Penix there? I don't fully get what happened here. You see that they're close to the 30-yard line. That's as good as they got in this game. They did not get inside the 30 against the Carolina Panthers. So it's not even like they were, they made some mistakes in key moments. Like they couldn't even get to the key moments. Although they did make some mistakes. Going over here, this was inexcusable. You see the clock. So the clock expires. I'm going to pause it just to talk about it. The clock expires here on a 3rd down and 1. This is the first quarter, and they've already burned a timeout. You don't want to burn another one, and they weren't doing a great job at getting these plays in time, so that's an issue. But also on a 3rd and 1, you got to call a timeout here, because a 3rd and 1, you have a very high percentage chance of converting. 3rd and 6, a much lower chance of converting. That's a bad mistake. In the first half, a timeout just isn't going to be worth more than that usually. To make matters worse, they still ended up burning all of their timeouts prior to the end of the half, and then weren't able to score a field goal after they got into field goal range, because a player didn't run out of bounds and they weren't able to, score that way. So, and the clock ran out. So it's like just some bad game management here, right? You got to get the plays in quickly. You don't want to be in these situations, and this was worth a timeout. Just bad. And now we can talk about the picks. The second one is totally fine by Penix. His receiver slipped. It's a 4th down and 8. Like no big deal, right? And you're trying to make a play happen. When your team's not doing as good, sometimes the interception totals are going to get bumped up because of that. That, who cares, right? But the other interception, not so much. This is one you can certainly blame him for. And again, at this point early on in the 3rd, the Panthers offense wasn't doing great. I mean, it was, they scored 10. They looked like a real offense again, which is more than you could say for previous weeks. But, that was bound to happen at some point. Divisional matchup, they kind of know how to attack you. It is what it is. But these are the plays you can't let happen. So you see the concept on the screen. You have several receivers running routes towards the bottom of the screen, hoping somebody can get open. Penix is going to take the snap, and it's really going to be, he eventually looks towards the halfback because the 2 routes down the field weren't as open. But the issue is, just because those 2 routes aren't open doesn't guarantee the halfback will be open. Usually it's open pretty quickly, but Penix is too late in getting the ball over there. So essentially, those other 2 routes can often push this defender further deep, but they're not guaranteed to push that defender further deep. And if they don't, you have to get the ball there quickly. There's another issue with this play, which is Penix is on the hash marks all the way towards the top of the screen. So that's a bad angle to try and make this throw. And there's a third issue on this play, which is it's a horrible throw. He doesn't get it there with any urgency. Watch as it ends up getting jumped and intercepted for a touchdown. Great defensive play. But again, Penix didn't have his feet under him because he was trying to get it over there quickly. But because of that, you don't get much mustard on it. And it ends up as kind of an ugly pick 6 there from Penix. So missing throws, receivers aren't catching, and they're, and then the big turnovers as well. Really just this big turnover is what created a disastrous day for the Atlanta Falcons. Football's week to week. You can clean this stuff up. You can clean up. The mistakes have to be cleaned up, like the game management stuff. That just has to be cleaned up. That has to be better. Receivers are going to catch passes better as the season goes along. Penix, you hope, is going to make better throws, but he has had a little bit of he'll make the bad throw every now and then, and early on in his career, and it really burned him in this game. People say the sky is falling and it's, everything is over for the Falcons, but it is ultimately one game. However, a big loss because now they have to play the Commanders and the Bills the next 2 weeks and the 49ers. So the next 3 weeks, they got to find a way to at least get one of those wins, if not 2, to kind of survive it, or just, go 2-4 and then try to go on a run. But those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching. Also, before I go, I'll mention that I do have a movie channel as well. If you like movies, want to hear me talk about movies, I have some movie reviews and some other fun things. So you can check that out if you want. The link is in the description below for that.